morning, it's October 11th, 2023, and I'm Kimberly from Fat Quarter Shop FlossTube, and we have a really fun show for you today. We're going to be showing you lots of fall patterns and lots of Halloween patterns, and it's kind of like a culmination of all the patterns that Lori Holt, It's So Emma, and Fat Quarter Shop have come up with over the last 4 or 5 years. And it's going to be a great trunk show because it's going to give you a variety that will appeal to all of you. And then after that, I'll show you Stitch-Tober Progress by me, Jordan, and Cheryl, and then I'll show you what we have new. But this will be a longer show, and basically just throw your questions in as you go, and I'm going to try to go through, a lot of these are older patterns, so I'm going to try to go into detail about exactly what we stitched on, exactly what we stitched with, and all of that, because a lot of you are new members or new viewers who might not have been around in 2018 when we started this FlossTube. So hopefully you will find some stuff that you love, and we'll just get started. We're going to first start with Lori Holt items. The first item that I'm going to show you is Farm Girl Fall. So this is one of the first cross stitch patterns that we released for Lori, and I'm going to kind of show you some iterations of it also. So this was released in 2018. It's available as a paper pattern and a PDF pattern. Your stitch count is 90 by 90, and this looks like a really big piece for such a small stitch count. That's because we stitched, or I stitched this on oatmeal 10 count. So you can see the holes here, and it is just big holes, and I stitched with DMC with 6 strands, I think. Either 6 or 4. Let me see what I did. I stitched with this with Aura Floss with 6 strands, but we don't have the Aura Floss anymore for this one, but we do have the DMC thread pack. And so on this one, in 2019, Lori and I used Farm Girl Fall. Oh, I'm going to show you that in a little bit. But I wanted to show you on Farm Girl Fall, there are 2 different finishing options. So this one is how Lori finished her pillow. And then this one is how I finished. So basically, they're both on 10 count oatmeal. I just framed mine with glass, and then this one went with Lori. And then it was back when I just put stickers on the back of my thing. So this one stays up when I decorate for fall. So this is kind of the first iteration of Farm Girl Fall. And then in 2019, Lori and I combined, I'm going to move this one. So basically we took that and we combined Farm Girl Fall, Set A stitch cards, and Set B stitch cards, and you also could have mixed in Happy Farm Girl at the time. I didn't, but just to show you. So all 4 of these you could combine, and what we did was Lori put together this free FQS Stitch-Tober chart, and basically it's this layout. It's basically a free layout, free border layout, and then within each of these squares you could put in any of the stitch cards, any of them. You could put in a Farm Girl Fall, Happy Farm Girl, and here are the colors that Lori picked. So it tells you exactly what I did. So the turkey is from right here. So I not only moved the layout, changed the colors. So I have the turkey, I have the tractor, which is from here. I kept this in the same spot. The scarecrow is from stitch card B. The flower is from Farm Girl Fall. This is from this pattern. The pumpkin is, I just moved the pattern around. I have the leaf and then the chick. So if you go back to the origination of stitch cards, you can see how much fun you can have with it. You could use this layout and do it for Christmas. And now we are all the way up to stitch card R. So here is stitch card R. Now that we are 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 5 years. So now we're all the way to stitch card R, and basically these could go in here. And you have another crow, it's just different. So, and then you have a second pumpkin. So you have lots of options. And so this is what we did in 2019. You can find the handout on the blog, Jolly Jabber, with this image to know what DMC color goes with what. And so it's these 3 pages back in 2019. So just so you know, this one I stitched with pewter 25 count Lugana by Zweigart. I used 2 strands of DMC, and again, the border layout is free on Fat Quarter Shop's website or blog. So that was kind of the second year of stitching with fall. And it gives you a good example of why we did the stitch cards, why Lori did the stitch cards, how you mix and match. And then this was, I can't remember what collection it was, but it's obviously a Lori Holt collection, and this one stays out at my house during fall. My kids actually throw it around, and I almost want to kill them every time. So that was 2018 and 2019. Then we moved to 2020, and we kept going with that same theme. So in 2020, Lori released this free border, and we did a mix and match with stitch cards A, C, D, F, and Farm Girl Fall. So this is free on the Fat Quarter Shop website, and it's basically the same thing. It's the border layout and the thread on page 3. So the same type of thing, and I'll show you where we pulled from. And this is why it's so fun. You can just mix and match. So we've got D, A, F, C, Farm Girl Fall, and Quilty Love. So we've got the hot cocoa, we have the jack-o'-lantern, we have the cat, and then this comes from Quilty Love. This is October 31st. Stitch card A, stitch card F, stitch card D, and then this one is from Farm Girl Fall. And we no longer carry the thread pack for this, but all the skeins we used are on the printout that I gave you, or the handout that you can download. This one was stitched on overcast 25 count Lugana using 2 strands of DMC, and on our blog we did a tutorial on how we finished this. This is an unfinished wooden pumpkin decor board that we got in Hobby Lobby in 2020 and painted it, and all the information on the rickrack, the fabric, the board, the bow, everything is on the Jolly Jabber. This one has a stitch count of 108 by 108. So that's kind of the 3rd year of Halloween, which it's so fun to go back in time and see all the things that we've done. Okay, in 2020 we showed this, but I wanted to show it to you in person. We talked about stitch card F, and here are the original pieces.
No, that's R.
This is R? Mm-hmm. Sorry. Stitch card R was this year. So with stitch card R, we have a thread pack that comes with the floss flowers and then the pattern. So this came out recently. But this would be great if you wanted to mix and match it within. And just as a reminder, all of the insides of the stitch cards are 24 squares by 24. And you can mix and match any of the borders with any of the insides with any of the free border layouts we've given you. And these with the border have a stitch count of 36 by 36. These were stitched on 25 count Lugana and called for DMC that is in the pattern. So that's kind of the stitch cards. And we're going to go all the way to Z. Then in 2020, I kind of got ahead of myself, Pumpkins for Sale was released. And this is when Lori kind of started getting into some of her bigger pieces. So 2020, Pumpkins for Sale. And you can get this as a paper or a PDF pattern. Designed by Lori Holt. Released in 2020. The stitch count is 122 by 160. This is stitched on Barley 25 count Lugana with called for DMC. So this is what we use to stitch this one. And it finishes at 9 3/4 by 12 3/4. And then also Lori gave Weeks Dye Works colorways for this. So you could stitch it in DMC or in Weeks Dye Works. Our sample was stitched in DMC. And on our YouTube channel that you're watching right now, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to Fat Quarter Shop FlossTube. We have a finishing tutorial called Pumpkins for Sale Cross Stitch Finishing Tutorial, and it gives you all the information on the fabric, the lace, the board, and all the information. So you can find all the finishing information on the Jolly Jabber. And the finishing was, of course, designed by Lori Holt. So we just put it on our blog so all of you could follow it. So that was 2020. And then 2022, Autumn Love came out. So a lot of you will probably be familiar with this one. This one has a stitch count of 187 by 217. So you can see as we've progressed, we've got bigger and bigger and bigger. We stitched this on 25 count Barley and called for a DMC. And with the 25 count, it finishes at 15 by 17 3/8. Lori finished this one on a wall decor from Hobby Lobby. And the number of the piece is on the back of the pattern. And basically inside this was a tin mousse, and she yanked it off. So we don't have the thread pack, but the product is linked, and you can just click all of them and click add to cart. And if there are 4 of them that are out of stock, but they should be back in stock probably tomorrow. And so on this one, the pattern and the PDF are available. And the 25 count Barley is available. The thread pack is not. And we have a couple of the Autumn Love needle minders left, and then this will be discontinued. It goes with this. So once this sells out, which will probably be definitely this year, we won't be bringing it back because we do her needle minders as a one and done. So this is Autumn Love. The next, a lot of you are already familiar with, since we went back from 2018, now we're in 2023. This just released this year, and it's available as paper pattern or PDF pattern. We're just getting bigger and bigger, aren't we? Okay, this one has a stitch count of 176 by 213. And I do think stitch count is really important to consider because you really want to look at how big it is. Are you willing to commit that much time? Obviously, the smaller the stitch count is, the less work it is. So I do think always looking at a stitch count before you start, no matter what fabric you are starting with or what thread you're starting with, is a great thing to look at. We stitched this on Prim 25 count Lugana with called for DMC. These are full color patterns, and you can really see the chart. It comes in 4 different pages. The finished size, if you stitch this on 25 count, is 14 by 17. So on this, we have the thread pack. The thread pack comes with the Candy Star thread bling. You can also buy that separately. We have the brand new pumpkin floss drops. And then we have this awesome needle minder, the Quilted Witch, and it has 2 magnets. It's huge. Like you could just put it right there. Anyway, it's so cute. This will sell out, and this will also be one and done. Once it's gone, it's gone. And I am going to be showing you my progress on the Quilted Witch in a little bit. And I do have some tips. So hopefully those will be helpful to you when we get to that. So this one is the most recent. Now we're going to go back to the smaller piece from Lori. Thank you. So Stitchy Stars was released in 2021. It's also available in paper and PDF. And this one has a stitch count of 30 by 204. And you can see we originally released this as patriotic. And then we released Christmas colors. This year, Lori has given us colors for fall. I am stitching this as part of Stitch-Tober. And it will finish at 2.5 by 16.5 on 25 count. So this is the new thread pack that converted Stitchy Stars into fall. And the thread pack is available, and it comes with her Stitchy Stars Floss Keeper. So you can get the pattern and the fabric, and I'm going to be stitching, this one right here is 25 count oatmeal. I'm going to be stitching mine on 14 count oatmeal, and you'll see that later in the month stitched. But now Jordan can show you how it looks. That is how Lori has done the color placement. And this should be pretty easy. And when I'm done with this one, then I'm going to also stitch, what's the last one I'm going to stitch? The colors? Okay. Spring, I think. Yeah, so then I will, because I've already stitched the Christmas, the patriotic. I'll be stitching fall, and then in the spring, we'll be stitching spring colors. And Lori picked all of those. So now I've shown you all of Lori Holt's items. If you have any questions, make sure you ask. And just put your questions in. I will be answering them. I'll probably just answer them at the end. Bless you. So we showed you all of Lori Holt's patterns. Now we're going to move to It's So Emma. So this is called Hey Pumpkin. It was released in 2020 as our Stitch Quarterly design for September 2020. This one has a stitch count of 61 by 67. This one was stitched on 10 count burlap. So it finishes about 6 by 6 3/4. Priscilla Blaine of Stitching with the Housewives finished this piece for our cover. And this is the one that I stitched. And the information, so we have several different finishings. So this is the first finishing. The second finishing is here. That information is on the pattern. The third finishing we're going to show you right now. This is a video tutorial that we did. And this mug rug is actually sitting on my counter at home. I was supposed to bring it today, but I forgot. Well, I didn't really forget. I just figured we had the image. We could do it. So if you want to see how to finish the mug rug, you could do this on any of your pieces. It looks great as 10 count because it's, when you sit your mug on it, you can still see the design under it. So I do think this mug rug tutorial is perfect. It's great. You could use it for anything, but we do have a video called How to Finish Cross Stitch into a Mug Rug using this pattern. So this one's really fun because there are 3 options. Option 1, option 2, and then the option that Jordan just showed you. So that's our first It's So Emma. Our second It's So Emma pattern I'm going to show you is Autumn Spice. This was released in 2021 as our Stitch Quarterly design for September 2021. And we do have spots for Stitch Quarterly if you're interested in joining that club. This one has a stitch count of 85 by 118. We stitched this on pale gray gingham, 14 count by Fabric Flair, and so you can kind of see the gingham. It finishes at 6 1/8 by 8 1/2 on 14 count. Priscilla finished this for our pattern cover, and you can find the information on this finishing on the back of the cover. So that's finishing option 1. Finishing option 2 was Priscilla finished my piece. So this is the one I stitched on a wooden block from Hobby Lobby, and she just added a bow and a pumpkin and glued it down. So we do have a finishing tutorial if you want to see an alternative finishing, and it's fall inspired cross stitch finish, how to display it as home decor, and that is a video. So this one also has 3 finishing options. So 1, 2, and the one you just saw. And this one I did want to point out, I love this one, and you could easily make this one, if you were looking for a smaller piece, you could leave off the autumn and just stitch the acorn. So this is Autumn Spice. This next one is a personal favorite. I haven't stitched it yet, but it is on my bucket list for sure because I love it. This is called Fall is in the Air, and again, available as paper and PDF. This was released in 2022. It was our Stitch Quarterly design for September 2022. The stitch count is 115 by 115, so it is actually square, even though it kind of doesn't look square. We stitched this on 14 count Platinum Ada by Zweigart, and it finishes at 8 1/4 inches square. Priscilla of Stitching with the Housewives finished this piece for our pattern cover. So this one is one finishing. She used Chelsea's Checks fabric by Henry Glass for this. That SKU is 9700-30. And then the round bamboo tray is from Hobby Lobby, and the SKU number is on the back of the pattern. And it's just glued down, and then this is like a leaf that came with a pick, which is, or like a floral. It's just something she pulled off a floral stick, and then cute bows. So yes, this is probably going to have to be stitched next year because I keep saying I'm going to stitch it and I haven't. So those were our Stitch Quarterlies. Now we're going to move to other It's So Emma items. This is Autumn Days Ornaments, and this one came out this year. And this is available as a booklet. It's in color, released in 2023. Each of the designs has a stitch count of 28 by 28. These were stitched on parchment 25 count Lugana by Lori Holt. The finished size of them using 25 count is about 2 1/4 inches square. We have the thread pack available. If you're going to finish them the way we did, you need 2 packages of the 2.64 inch sticky circles mounting boards. You need 2 packages of the Tarte tin ornaments, and then you need 2 rolls of the black 3/4 inch gingham ribbon by Stitching with the Housewives, Priscilla and Chelsea. So just think 2. You need 1 pattern, 1 thread pack, and then 2 of everything else. And then we decorated this tiered tray. I'm going to move this so you can kind of see how beautiful it is. And that tiered tray from Hobby Lobby is SKU 2076917. And really, if you bought that tiered tray, you could use that for all of the ornaments that we're going to be doing, because we're going to keep finishing them in the Tarte tin ornaments. They're going to stay the same size, and this will be something you can leave. If you buy 2 trays, you could just leave them up all year. The way that I'm displaying them in my home is I have the two trays in different spots in my home, so that you see it. You just put half on one side and then half on the other, put them in 2 different rooms, and you basically have 2 setups. You don't have to set them next to each other. You can really fill the space by spreading them out. And this is Autumn Days Ornaments, 12 ornaments. And we are working on next year's ornaments, so I think you have a lot to look forward to. Of course, I'm selfish and we design a lot of things that I love. So if I love them, I always hope that you guys will love them. Now in 2023, we came out with a new series. It's okay, I can just do this. So the two I'm about to show you came out in 2023. It looks better. So this was the first Simply signs that came out for the two I'm about to show you. So we have Happy Fall. The stitch count is 112 by 278. And the chart is really nice because we don't just put this on one page. We put it on several pages so that you can really see the detail. The stitch count on 14 count is 8 by 19 7/8. Stitched on Kimberly's Cafe au Lait 14 count Ada by Fabric Flair, and we will be doing a second design using that fabric next year with a similar yet different finishing, similar style, different size. That's all I want to tell you, because if I start telling you, I'll tell you too much. So Priscilla finished this using the Priscilla's Pretty Plaid orange and white fabric, which is SKU 9300-30 by Henry Glass. This is the P.S. I Love You wood wall decor from Hobby Lobby. The SKU number is on the back of the pattern, and we do have thread packs available. And this blue is out here, and I really like the blue because a lot of times you see Halloween in orange and black, and I am not just a huge fan of black, so this orange really gives it more of a, I kind of want to say like a football feel, because it's got that kind of denim vibe. So this was the first. This is Happy Fall Signs. Next, I'm going to show you Spooky Simply Signs. So we did a fall and a Halloween, so same thing. Pattern available as PDF or paper, and then thread pack is available. Also released in 2023. Now the stitch size on all of these is similar but slightly different. We tried to make them as close as we could without compromising the design integrity. So Spooky Simply Signs has a stitch count of 74 by 274. The finished size on 14 count is 5 3/8 by 19 5/8. We stitched this piece on Kimberly's Tangerine 14 count Ada by Fabric Flair. I really love the color of this because it's not, the orange doesn't take away from the thread. And Priscilla from Stitching with the Housewives finished this using Chelsea's Checks fabric right here, SKU 9700-30 by Henry Glass. She used the 3/4 inch ticking stripe ribbon by Stitching with the Housewives. It does have like, it has, what do you call that? It has stiffness to it, so you can really fluff your bows up. So she used 9300-30 here, 3/4 inch ticking stripe ribbon here, and then 1.5 inch buffalo plaid wired ribbon here. And then this Hobby Lobby number is on the back of the pattern. And so this one has the oranges and the black, and next to it I'm going to put the Happy Fall so you can see them together, and then show you an up close of the blue from Anita's request. And then when you look up close, you can see like how the black would look with this, or how the blue would look with this. And as you get closer, it's harder to see that denim, but they're both two strands. They're both two stitches, so you can see the difference in the navy and the blue. So those are some It's So Emma features we wanted to show you. Now we're going to move to Fat Quarter Shop PDF patterns. And we will at the end show you some free patterns also. So in 2020, we released Fright Night downloadable PDF patterns. So this is PDF only, not paper. Released in 2020 as our mystery stitch along for FQS Stitch-Tober. I think it was the first year we did Stitch-Tober and called it that. The stitch count is 134 by 140. This is stitched on a hazy gray dyed effect 14 count Aida from Fabric Flair, stitched with called for weeks dye works. We do have the Floss Biddy's Fright Night, and these will be discontinued once they are sold out. And then we have the Ghostly Enamel Charm, which is so cute, and same thing, once it sells out it will be discontinued. And it's really so cute. Sometimes I wish I could just like attach these charms to the piece and then hope they would stay. That would be so awesome, kind of like a button, but you can't really do that, so don't listen to me. So this one is finished at 9.5 inches square if you stitch it on 14 count. Priscilla from Stitching with the Housewives stitched, she basically finished this one using Priscilla's Pretty Plaids 9300-9 and then 9300-39, and this frame is from Michaels, and the finishing information is on the pattern. And also she added a kitty cat, some candy corn, some decor, and then this is kind of like a textured white. It's just got a little texture to it, and I kind of feel like this white lets the piece shine instead of having dark, dark, dark. If you pay attention to how Priscilla finishes her things, she's really looking at color placement, color theory, and how all of that works together. And whenever you're finishing something, finishing it where your piece really shines is really the ultimate goal of finishing. Our next downloadable PDF pattern came out in 2021 called Autumn Beauties. This was also a mystery stitch along for FQS Stitch-Tober. Sorry, these are really loud beads. The stitch count on this is 118 by 118. The model was stitched on oatmeal 14 count Aida by Lori Holt, called for Classic Colorworks. And this one we came out with the Floss Biddies for Autumn Beauty. Same thing, once it's discontinued. It's discontinued. I want to show them to you though. So we have the sunflower, the crow, the pumpkin, and then the harvest. So these are really cute. And basically what you can do, you can use Floss Biddies two different ways. And I'm going to show you the way, or I'm going to tell you the way I do it, and then tell you the way most people do it. So what I like to do when I'm using a Floss Biddy is put what I start with on the bottom. Once I start stitching, if I have a couple strands left over, I add it to the top. And then that way, whenever I go grab my Floss Biddy, I use my leftovers first before pulling from here. What most people do is keep all of the thread down here and put a ring around it. And that's why Lori has been coming out with her new floss rings. And just to kind of show you, Priscilla finished this one using Priscilla's Pretty Plaids 9300-33. And then she used this beaded round chalkboard from Hobby Lobby. The SKU number is on the pattern. And in the pattern, what's really cool is we have 4 alternates for the signs. So you can put in there 4 different things. You can put in autumn, fall y'all, pumpkin, or harvest. So we wanted that to be interchangeable just so that you could show your personality in the sign. And now that the mystery is over, when you buy it, you just get part 5, which is the full pattern. Oh, and then this, I love this bag. I use this bag all the time. This is the Autumn Beauties bag. And it's called Autumn Beauty's Project Bag. And this, same thing, once it's gone, we will discontinue it. I think we have quite a bit left, but I love this bag because it goes with, I kind of feel like the sunflower goes with so many things. To me, it could go spring or fall. A lot of people just use sunflowers for fall, but I see sunflowers as springy also, even though really they're not. But for me, I can use them both times. So we showed 2020, 2021. Now we're on 2022. This is Halloween Town. Available as a downloadable PDF. The stitch count on this is 78 by 237. We stitched this one on Spooky Cobweb 14 count by Fabric Flair. And that finishes at 5 5/8 by 17. And on here, we have two different thread packs still available. We have the DMC thread pack, which comes in our spooky box, Halloween floss box. So that's available. And then you can also get the Aura Floss thread box. So it has the Aura fill. Fits perfectly. I wonder how that happened. And then you can also buy just the Halloween Town and then use this to store your floss. I love these flosses. Priscilla from Stitching with the Housewife finished this using Priscilla's Pretty Plaids. She used 9300-59 and Chelsea's Checks 9700-9. And this is a frame from Hobby Lobby and the SKU number is on the pattern. One thing I wanted to point out with this is there is a lot of flexibility in any kind of cross stitch pattern, but especially this one. So if you like Halloween, you could stitch just one, you could stitch two, you could stitch any of them individually. And another thing is you could move them around. So if you are somebody who loves purple, maybe you stitch the purple in the center and the green and the orange on the outside. Maybe you leave it just like it is, but you just switch colors between them. So there's so much flexibility in, if you love this, you could stitch one house. You know, if you didn't want the ghost picking out, you could leave that out. So, and you know, honestly, you could make all of them orange or all of them green, or, you know, you could just do so much with this pattern. And I do love the fabric that we stitched this on, which is the Spooky Cobweb 14 count by Ada. And it just adds so much dimension to the design without having to stitch it. And the color, to me, it doesn't fight with what you're stitching. It lets your stitching shine. You know, it doesn't take away from your stitching. So that was 2022. Also in 2022, we released Spookography downloadable PDF. And this is a PDF pattern only, and then we do have thread packs. This is a pop-up image. The stitch count on this is 110 by 110. And the reason we don't have it is Deborah stitched this. Cheryl stitched it, and it's at Cheryl's house. So this is stitched on 14 count. It's basically finishes at 8 inches square. And this one we decided to stitch on white 14 count Ada by Witchelt. But I do think you could stitch it on that Spooky Cobweb, and that would also look cute. So like I showed you, we have the thread pack available and the PDF available. We finished this using an 8-inch square frame from Hobby Lobby, and the SKU number is on the pattern. And this one is you know, stitching something like this is very affordable because it's DMC. It's a plain white fabric. It's not a big investment to stitch. And I think it'd be really cute as a project bag, using the stitch part as your project bag. So also in that same year, we stitched Halloween Holiday Hallmarks, which was a 4-part series, but this is the Halloween version. And I'm going to show you two different finishings. The stitch count on this is 115 by 115. This one was stitched on marbled white pine board 14 count Aida by Fabric Flair using called for DMC. So I'm going to kind of move it so you can see the pine board. And in person you see it much more. So PDF only. This one is using called for DMC. And finishes 8.5 inches square on 14 count. This finishing right here uses Riley Blake's C200-71, and it's just a fabric. And the finishing information on this frame is on the pattern. And so this was the one that was stitched by Denise. And then this was the one that I had framed. So I took mine to the framer, and I used Gentle Arts cast iron skillet for the brown or black, whatever you call that. And then I used Fragrant Cloves Gentle Arts for the oranges. So I wanted mine to be a little bit more fall. And we, you know, sometimes we'll show you two finishings when we can, just to kind of show you a totally different look. And obviously this one took a little bit more investment since I used Gentle Arts. This one uses DMC, so it's a little bit more affordable. This is a more affordable finishing. This is something that, you know, costs a lot more, but I wanted to have it because I just prefer all my stuff to have glass. And it's pretty thick. This is a pretty thick frame. It's at least 1.5 inches. And then I'm going to kind of leave that one out just to show you. And because I did all 4 of the designs and framed them in the same frame. This one is Holiday Hallmarks Autumn. So this one is DMC colors listed. Stitch count 115 by 115. The same fabric, which is 14 count marbled white pine board, and you can see how these two look together. This was stitched using Gentle Arts cast iron skillet, grape leaf for the green, Gentle Arts, and then this is Classic Colorworks Autumn Spice. So I have 4 of these stitched, and this obviously is a more expensive finishing. This one again is called Autumn Holiday Hallmarks. So that's my finishing, these two. I'm going to take this one away and show you Denise's. So this one is finished using that same frame, which is listed on the pattern, and this is Riley Blake Shades C200-48 and that same frame. So, and this is DMC stitched. So those are 2 of the Holiday Hallmarks. Our next piece is, I love this one. This one took a long time to stitch, but it's so cute. So this is Foxtastic Patchwork Seasons, released in 2021. And the stitch count is 72 by 108. This model right here is stitched on Venetian stone 14 count by Witchell using NPI thread. And we do still have the NPI thread pack, and I love working with NPI. I love working with silks. I wish I could work with them more. They're not great sellers for us, so I try not to feature them too much because I think that they're just maybe too expensive or people just don't want to make that investment, but personally I love them. If you stitch this on 14 count, it'll finish at about 5 1/4 by 7 3/4. Priscilla finished this using Priscilla's Pretty Plaids, black and white. She used Lori Holt's Pumpkin Large Vintage Trim, and the Hobby Lobby piece, that's the green piece, the SKU number is listed on the PDF pattern. So again, Foxtastic, Patchwork Seasons, PDF only, and only available at Back Quarter Shop. Our next PDF is Fall Patchwork Seasons, released in 2022. Oh my gosh, guys, we have been releasing stuff. I just can't even believe it. I'm so proud of us. We have so much stuff. So shout out to my team who does all of this. Denise, Ashley, Sophie, Jordan, Jocelyn, Nova, Sarah, everybody. Hope I didn't miss anybody. Brittany. Just, gosh, we have done so much. So this is Fall Patchwork Seasons. And the stitch count on this is 88 by 104. This is stitched on that pale gray gingham that I love by Fabric Flair. We used Aurifloss for this sample, but we did also list DMC, PDF only. It finishes at 6 3/8 by 7.5. And this one we found a frame at Target and finished it. So that's listed on the pattern. And then this right here is Lori's Be Cute lace card, natural assortment. And then this is just burlap that we got at Target. So really fun finishing. Of course, we always list the finishing here just so you can see. And definitely keep putting your questions in. I'm definitely going to answer them. The more questions, the better. And then this year, released in 2023, Fall Forever Stamps. It's a paid downloadable pattern and it's so cute. So I think this one is mine. I think this is the one I stitched. This one has a stitch count of 62 by 62. So I love anything that's got a stitch count less than 100 because I can stitch this up in a day, in a second, I feel like. This one I stitched on natural 14 count by Witchell, and you can kind of see with that natural, it's got some little kind of like, I don't want to say flecks, but it's got little pieces, and I love that it adds the texture to it. So with this one on 14 count, it finishes at 4.5 inches square. We do have the thread pack, and the thread pack comes with Lori Holt's Sugar Sweet Floss Flowers, which I personally love. We have a video tutorial called A Luxurious Cross Stitch Finish, a foxy little cross stitch pillow with velveteen and chenille. So we finished this and we used pea pod velveteen for the back, Bird's Nest 100% cotton chenille trim, and these finishings are both by Lady Dot Creates. And so I'm hoping that we keep adding, like every year do a fall piece, and then eventually I can have 4 pillows and a dough bowl or something to that effect. And really cute photo. Now we're moving to free patterns. This is the Mystery Bats and Booze Stitch Along, released in 2021 as a mystery Halloween stitch along. This one has a stitch count of 93 by 93. This was stitched on 14 count Icelandic Gray Ada by Witchell. Call for Weeks Dye Works. We also list DMC colors if you want to do that. It finishes at 6 3/4 inches square. Priscilla finished this. I actually think we finished it. Oh, sorry. Here we go. So this pattern cover was finished by Priscilla. And this used the Priscilla's Pretty Plaids 9300-39 and a wood piece from Hobby Lobby. And that information is on here. And then we thought it'd be fun to do a pillow tutorial. So this one I wanted to point out. This is a pre-made, this is something I bought at, we think Amazon. It might have been Home Goods, I don't know, but it's just an orange pillow. And we filmed a finishing tutorial called Mystery Bats and Booze Reveal, how to turn cross stitch into a pillow. So basically, if you watch the tutorial, we just sewed 2 fabrics to it, and then glued this down using stitch witchery. Our next free pattern is Mystery Boo Crew, released in 2022. And this one I did stitch, but I just stitched Boo. And I couldn't find my piece to bring. This one is a stitch count of 70 by 200. And this is for all my purple ladies out there that love purple. We stitched this on 14 count Peaceful Purple Ada by Witchelled. We use called for Classic Colorworks for the sample. We also list DMC colors if you want something more affordable. It finishes at 5 by 14 and 3/8. And we finished this using the purple large vintage trim by Lori Holt. And then a wood piece from Hobby Lobby. The wood piece number is on the pattern. And again, free pattern. And also, this is something else just to think about how you can change it up. If you're not a purple person, you could change the color of the letters. If you don't like ghost, you could take the ghost off. There's so much stuff you could do. You could add, if you think about this light, if you want more detail, you could do 5 lights across here. So much possibilities. And you know, if you see something, just think about it. How could you change it? And it's a completely free pattern. The finishing tutorial on how we finish this is on our YouTube channel. It's called Mystery Boo Crew Cross Stitch Reveal Halloween Cross Stitch Finishing. Released this year, 2023, is Happy Haunting. Again, completely free pattern, available at Fat Quarter Shop only. This is stitched on Pistachio 14 count Ada by Fiber on a Whim with called for Classic Colorworks, and we do have the thread pack. The stitch count is 109 by 109. So if you're stitching on 14 count, that comes out to slightly smaller than 8 inches square. Priscilla finished this using Chelsea's Checks 9700-9 and Priscilla's Polka fabric 1028-39. This polka dot fabric just came in the store 2 weeks ago. So now you can get all the polka dots from Priscilla and Chelsea. I showed them to you last week, all the colors, but so excited that we finally have that in stock. She also used the black 1.5 inch buffalo plaid wired ribbon from Stitching with the Housewives. And then she used the black 1.5 inch dash striped wired ribbon. Those are all available. So everything here is available at Fat Quarter Shop except the galvanized metal tray, which is from Hobby Lobby. And all of that information is here. Okay, so now that's my trunk show. But now what I want to do is show you my stitching progress for Stitch-Tober, because, you know, a lot of the things that I just showed you were previous Stitch-Tobers. So we're going to move to this year's Stitch-Tober and kind of talk about what I'm doing, but hopefully we have given you some information, some inspiration for what you could do for Stitch-Tober. So this is the Quilted Witch by Lori Holt that I showed you. I keep a 10-inch design board. I keep a pair of Lori's glasses, some scissors, Wonder Clips, and then I keep my thread on the pumpkin floss drops and the thread bling. And I'm going to show you how far I've gotten. So I'm stitching this on 25 count Prim Lugana. I'm stitching 2 strands over 2 squares, and like I showed you, called for DMC. So I was going to kind of give you some tips on what has been working and not working for me. So this pattern is on 4 different pages. So this is page 1 right here. So basically what I decided to do, anything that had any kind of stitching on page 1, like if it had just a little inkling from page 1, I finished that out. So all of page 1 is done, and anything that touched page 1, I finished. So I finished the cat, the heart, etc. And then I needed to decide, do I go this way, but I decided to go this way. And the reason why is I basically outlined the shirt, filled in, did my little green, outlined the black, added my green, outlined this, and you can see my outline because it's not filled in yet. I outlined the hand and the needle, and then I filled in the pink and the brown, etc. And so this I did at a basketball game. Christopher played 3 basketball games Sunday, and Peyton played 2, so I had plenty of time, and doing straight lines is super easy. And 25 count is great for basketball games because I can just wear the glasses and see what I'm doing. From here, what I plan on doing is going up, and I'll probably complete the witch's face and then start here. But what I'm really going to be doing is when you start getting into the dress, you start using threads that are used other places. So when I stitch this, if these 2 blues are the same as this, I will stitch these at the same time. So basically, I'm going to try to start the dress at the same time as the stars and just kind of move down. And once I kind of finish these stars, then I'm going to finish this, and then I'm going to do the dress, whatever's left, one by one. And kind of what I'll do is, like, if these 2 are the same colors, you know, I'll kind of do the same colors at the same time, that kind of thing, to save time from, I think the hardest part of using something or making something that has this many colors is getting the colors out, keeping them organized. And what I'm doing is keeping the original, and then this is kind of what's left over. Like, these are my smaller pieces. And the ring has really helped me keep everything organized. I've never really used a ring before, so I'm actually really liking this. But I think the hardest part of working with something this big is 2 things: the start and the stop of the colors, and the movement. So when you go from here to here, making sure you're not half a stitch off. But like, if you become half a stitch off here, it's fine. You just have to remember that you're half a stitch off, because I'm half a stitch off right here, I think. Like, I'm like, and I just left it. Nobody's gonna know. But so those are my 2 things that I think are hardest. So I've got that done. And my goal is to be done by November 15th. My second project is Stitch Card Set R. And I showed that earlier. Can I show that compared to this, the individuals? So we did the same thing. We put all of the DMC, and I put the DMC colors on the back. You could use a Sharpie. And here's the pattern. So I'm going to show you. This was stitched on 25 count oatmeal, 2 strands over 2 squares, using called for DMC, and I left 2 stitches in between. 4 squares, but 2 stitches. And you can compare how it looks to Cheryl's stitching. So these are stitched individually. And they look pretty similar, so I didn't make any changes. And this one that I stitched, what I plan on doing, these we send to Lori for her to finish and show on her FlossTube. This one, I'm planning on finishing it probably with a wooden frame. I'll probably leave about 1/4 to 1/2 inch showing and do a really big frame, and then just use it to be more like a frame. So that's my Stitch-Tober progress. Since I finished, I'm going, oh, oops, sorry, the pattern's showing. Oh, sorry about that. So since I have made a lot of progress, I have added this to my rotation. Thank you to Denise from Goose Design. She sent me this beautiful bag. So since I got it, I threw my new project in. So I'm not gonna let myself start this until I get at least 3 pages done on Quilted Witch and the other thing I'm working on. Stitchy Stars. Until I get Stitchy Stars completely done, I'm not going to start this. So this one I was inspired to start from the Bent Creek trunk show. So it's called Pumpkin Flower Sampler. I picked, you know, my favorite 14 count pale gray gingham. I love that fabric. It's just a go-to. And I also stitched the patriotic version in the pale gray gingham, blue gingham. So using the gingham, I just kind of thought it looked good. I'm going to use Aura Floss, and the colors that we picked, I think Denise and Cheryl picked for me, is 1114, 2330, 2882, and 5009. And the floss that we picked is from the B Basics Aurifil box. So I had already used that box and it was upstairs, and so they just picked from that box since I didn't have to buy anything additional. So these are Lori Holt colors. And you know, I'll stitch the pumpkin as the orange. I'm gonna do the letters as the brown, I think. And then from there, I'm probably going to do the light green as the specialty stitches and the dark green as this. And just so you know, I have reserved the right to change my mind. Just, you know, once you start stitching, I like to change things. So if I stitch it and I don't like it, I'll change it up. So just don't start until I start if you want it to look exactly like mine. Sometimes I think y'all might get upset when I change my colors, but I do like to have the freedom to do that. So really fun. So that is my Stitch-Tober progress, which is, we're only on October 11th and I've got a lot done. Okay, this one, hopefully Kevin's not watching because I'm going to give away a little surprise. Cheryl stitched this for Kevin for his 50th birthday. He's going to be 50 on Monday. And Cheryl is so amazing because Cheryl has already got him 3 things. She gives him 2 things that are the same every year. She has for 15 years, I think. So this is going to be his birthday present. So he's going to love it. This is by Shannon Christine. It's called Unfiltered Poison. She stitched 2 squares over 2 strands over 2 squares. This is 32 count light taupe Lugana using called for DMC. Now I don't know how she's going to finish it, but we'll take a photo and show it, or I'll sneak it off of Kevin's desk next week. And yeah, and it was so funny. I was riding in the car with Emma yesterday and Kevin, and I said, Emma, your dad's birthday is going to be Monday. How old is he going to be? And she was like, oh, 47. And I was like, no, he's going to be 50. And she was like, oh my goodness. And me and Kevin said, we don't know how we got this old. I can tell you our bodies feel it, or my body feels it. I can tell you that. Okay, also from Cheryl, the Frankenstein Sassy Strippers pattern by Priscilla and Chelsea. It came out this month, or like within the last 30 days. She's stitching this in a horizontal row. So let me kind of show you. So it's going to be this one. Then she's going to add the, now I'm not sure what order. So she's going to do the Frankenstein, the ghost, the kitty, the pumpkin head, and the witch. So she's going to do all of these. So all of these 5 patterns in a horizontal row. This is 32 count vintage smoky white linen, called for classic color works. She's using 2 strands of classic color works over 2 squares. And so she'll just stitch and move, and she does put, this is the Nurge hoop. She does put this over her pieces. So we could get her to maybe take a picture as she's going and show you how she puts the hoop, just so you guys could see. And I'm not sure what her goal is on finishing this, but the way she stitches, I'm sure it'll be done pretty quick. This is also by Cheryl. And we showed part of this earlier, I believe. This is 'Twas All Hallows. Sorry. Once I get past an hour, my words start coming out wrong. 'Twas All Hallows Eve by Tiny Modernist. There's 4 parts. So she has finished part 1 and she's moving to part 2, which is right here. She's stitching 2 strands over 2 squares, 32 count charcoal dyed effect by Fabric Flair. We have more on order because it's sold out, and it is arriving approximately October 20th. And she is using called for floss. And you'll notice when you see a lot of Cheryl's work, she loves 32 count. I have no idea how she can see the 32 count, but she can. And then she's kind of working on this part too. And you can see her pieces big enough to fit. Again, 32 count charcoal dyed effect by Fabric Flair. And then this one you guys have seen. Leslie Quilts. Okay, good super chat. Leave that there, and I'm going to tell a story about what that means in a little bit. So this is Cheryl's Hello Halloween sampler by Teresa Kogut. It's a booklet. And I showed it to you when I think it was kind of like just right here. So this one is 36 count cappuccino by Fiber on a Whim. This is stitched with 1 strand of floss over 2 squares. And so she is kind of right here. So I would say she's about 20-25% done. So those are Cheryl's finishes. So thank you to Cheryl for sharing. And then this is from Jordan. So he is stitching Black Magic. It is from the Ornament series by Tiny Modernist 1 through 4. And so he is stitching this one right here. Put it right here. He's stitching the Black Magic. He's using 32 count even weave because it's Jordan. He couldn't go simple. He had to go hard. So 32 count, 2 strands over 2 squares, and this is Hazy Gray Even Weave by Fabric Flair. Okay, you have till next week to finish. He's like, no. Yay, Jordan. And then Jessica is also sharing today. This is the Quilted Witch. So Jessica runs our social media. So if you ever see anything posted on social media, Jessica has posted it. She is stitching the Quilted Witch, her first ever cross stitch piece. So Cheryl taught her. She also taught Jordan. She is stitching using the called for DMC using the loop method. Oh, actually the floss is from her stash. So some of it's called for, some of it's different, but she is following the colors. If she has the color, she's using it. If not, she's switching it out so that she doesn't have to break into her budget. The fabric is Heather 16 count Aida by Fiber on a Whim, so it's hand dyed, and she is using the Nurge Pink plastic embroidery hoop, medium size. The one I showed you earlier that Cheryl had it hooped in was the small size. And then she's using these hoops to keep these Wonder Clips. These are larger than the ones I use, but it keeps it kind of out of the way. So yay, Jessica. So exciting. Okay, now I wanted to show you guys' stitching. So we shared our stitching. Now I'm going to share you guys what you have been stitching. So these are all from the Quilted Witch. This is Becky Reed. She kind of started with the kitty cat. She said she hasn't cross-stitched for 35 years. So go, Becky. The next one is from Amy Kernett. Got this far on the first, having a bit of ADHD with stitching, and then this is one of 5 projects I'm currently working on. So she started right in the center, I believe. Deborah Taylor. Debbie worked for Fat Quarter Shop for years and years and years. She's now retired. Now she is stitching Quilted Witch. She started in the top left. She's stitching on 25 count with 1 thread over 1 square. So hers will end up half the size as ours. And then Donna Sturm, we have shown a lot of her finishing on here. She started working on the Quilted Witch cross stitch a week ago. I know that she says she knows she can't finish it this year, but she hopes she finishes it before Halloween of next year. This is Jessica Kearns. She is working on the Quilted Witch, and she started in the top left with that big star. And Debbie Brewer is an achiever. She finished the whole thing. I saw it and was like, oh my God, how did she finish it so fast? And then those are Quilted Witch. Now we have people that are working on Stitch-Tober. And we pulled them because they used the FQS Stitch-Tober 2023 hashtag. So Scrap Patches is stitching fun for Stitch-Tober, and she's using Lori Holt stitch cards R and F and the free mix and match frame from 2020. Treehouse Quilts is stitching the Autumn Days ornaments, and she's having so much fun stitching. We're having technical difficulties. We will be right back. Just kidding. There we go. So then we have Emma Rooney Designs. She stitched the crow from Stitch Card R by Lori Holt, and it turned out so fun and subtle on this oatmeal even weave. Now on to the next one. We have Carpal Tunnel Crafts, and she says, this morning I drove around with the windows down since the temperature finally dropped below 90, so naturally I had to work on something fall themed. She's working on Fall is in the Air that we showed you earlier. And then Vicki Holloway is, she's working on the Autumn Days ornament, and this was her day 2 progress. And then Michael Riser, progress on Autumn Love by Lori Holt, October 3rd through October 9th. He has stitched 12,565 stitches. Wow. And he's stitching that pretty fast because that one took me forever. I do feel like Quilted Witch is a lot easier than Autumn Love. And then Becca Murphy, it's October, and that means it's FQS Stitch-Tober 2023 time with FQS Cross Stitch and Fat Quarter Shop. I was invited to participate, and I chose the adorable set R of the Lori Holt Be in My Bonnet stitch cards. She decided to stitch all 4 together using 18 count Hazelwood by Fiber on a Whim, using called for DMC. She has the second one finished. I think she's using 1 stitch between, and she is using Q-snaps. And as a reminder, Q-snaps are 20% off for the entire month of October 2023 at Fat Quarter Shop. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what's new, and then I'm going to answer questions. So get your questions in. So this was last Friday. Bringing Home the Turkey Sassy Stripper series. So Fridays are going to be Thanksgiving. Wednesdays will be Christmas. This is Mrs. Claus Candy Canes released this morning. So those are the 2 new by Priscilla and Chelsea. Bent Creek has 3 new patterns. The Everyday Sampler, Seasons of Change row. I think this one's really cute. And Begin row. And this has the alphabet. It says begin a journey of 1,000 miles must begin a journey of 1,000 miles must begin with a single step. And that is so true. We have new Lindy stitches. Romping in the Sunflowers. November Oscillated Turkey. And then she has 2 birds, Red-Faced Warbler and Violet Green Swallow. And then Shannon Christine has several new Pumpkin Sign. Raven Wings, this is part 5 of her 2023 Halloween Club. Hello Fall Mug. Gobble Gobble Mug. Hello Autumn. Skate Rentals. Part 7 of Signs of Christmas, and Apple Farm. Okay, so now I'm going to go through all the questions that you guys sent in. Anita Schaefer asks, or Anita Scheffner asks, what sets NPI apart from DMC? So NPI is 100% silk. It comes in, I believe, 12 strands or 8 strands. It has more strands than DMC. It is silk, so it is just much finer, and it's just so beautiful, and it really glides through your fabric. It's much more expensive, but it's kind of like a fancier floss. Rhonda asked if we are going to carry Teresa Koget's Hello Autumn. Yes, so Teresa Koget released yesterday on social media all of her new patterns that she's going to have, and we ordered them yesterday. Kathy Aschenbach asks, will you be bringing back a plain pumpkin needle minder? Nope, that one is gone. Pat Andrews, what did you stitch the later stitch cards on? Doesn't look like 10 count. 25 count. And then if you rewind later and go back to that section, I did list exactly what I stitched with. Would pumpkins for sale be too difficult for a beginner? I think it would be challenging for a beginner just because it is so big. Deborah DeBerry, this is a great question. Do I always use 2 strands over 2 with 25 count? Personally, I do. I use 2 strands over 25 count. Now, like you saw Debbie Taylor use 1 strand over 1 square, so you can also do that. How about a tan gingham fabric? We were working on that and we never got the color exactly the way we wanted it, and it just didn't come out good enough for us to release it. I don't know if we're still working on it, but I mean, we're not very confident we're going to get that done. The gingham the color we're looking for is not coming out right. And so as of now, no, because we believe in only releasing things that we 100% stand behind. Crochet Mama said the autumn ornaments would be cute as jar toppers for Christmas gifts. Oh, that would be cute. And you know, my cousin's ex-wife, when she comes, she will bring like hot cocoa in a jar. That would be really cute to put on the top. Alice down the rabbit hole. What would you do if you started a stitch but found out your fabric is too short? I would just figure out a way to adjust the design a little bit. You obviously can't add fabric, but you could maybe adjust your design to be smaller. Roxy Blair, do you feel the smaller patterns are easier to stitch in hand as opposed to being in a hoop? So I stitch everything in hand, so it would be hard for me to answer that, but I will say anything smaller to me is easier to stitch in hand. Anything Ada is much easier for me to stitch. So to me, you know, anything like 14 counts easier to stitch than 16 count. Smaller pieces, easier to stitch. Do you know when Peapod Velveteen will be in from Lady Creates? Yes, we have had it on order. She had a delay in shipping. I'm not going to say why because that's a personal, but yes, we have had it on order. She has to hand dye everything, so as soon as she has it dyed, it will arrive. Jeanette asks, should I be removing my cross stitch from the Q-snap every night when I'm done stitching? I would say yes. S.A. Smith. Does it matter if you begin a project vertical or horizontal? Does cross stitch, the answer is no. You can do either. Does cross stitch fabric grain matter? No. After you finish a project, how do you store your leftover floss? Okay, that's a great question. So what I do is I do that once a month. So I have a stack. I keep my DMC at home and I keep my fancy floss at work just for space reasons. So I have a little bucket, and anytime I finish a project that has fancy floss, I just throw it in the bucket. Anything I have DMC, I have a little bucket at home. If it's DMC, I throw it in that bucket. And then once a month, I go through and set aside an hour or two and just put it, I keep all of my fancy floss in the acrylic boxes by It's So Emma or Fat Quarter Shop. I can't remember what, I think they're by Fat Quarter Shop. So once a month I go in and organize that. And then once a month I go in and organize my DMC on the Floss Flowers by Lori Holt. And I either just add them to my system, but I have a system, a spreadsheet system of what I have so that I don't have to buy anything else. So I do it once a month. And we do have videos on my cross stitch organization at home, so you could see that, and cross stitch organization in the acrylic. I think they're 2 separate videos, but I just plan to do that once a month. Ilsa Rojas, do you think a shorter strand of floss makes you go faster? I don't, because you have to change floss more often. Gourmet Law, what is the pattern on top of the fall mug pattern behind Kimberly? It is October Snapshots by Pine Mountain Designs. Not a floss question, but since it's fall, I have to ask. Chili in Texas, beans or no beans? I'm from the Midwest, must have beans. Okay, so in my house, I don't cook that often, but I have cooked chili before, and I've done 2 pots. Kevin doesn't eat beans, and for Christmas every year, the boys buy him beans and put it in a bag. It drives him crazy. But so Kevin doesn't like beans, but I do. So my vote would be yes. And then funny comment from Leslie Quilts, poison, perfect for Kevin. So if you listen to the Inappropriate Quilters podcast that released last Saturday, you will hear the joke. And it is a joke. You'll kind of get that reference. So we are going to be giving away today an assortment, and it's going to be an assortment of patterns that we featured in today's stream, and we're going to have 3 winners. And what I want you to answer is, when you're stitching, do you prefer to stitch fall? Do you prefer to stitch Halloween? Or do you prefer to stitch both? I would love to know your answer. Comment, and Ashley will announce the winners next week. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week.